Hi, I'm Lee.
And I'm Ronnie.
And welcome back to Jupiter Juice, the podcast where astrology is not just about vibes, it's also about insight, evolution, and maybe even a little chaos.
So on this episode, it's going to be kind of exciting. At least, yeah, are you excited?
I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. So we're talking about Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler. Sinners is all the rave. It's like taking over the internet. Now Beyonce a little bit, but it's like Beyonce and Sinners.
Yeah.
And it's definitely giving Black excellence, Black history, Black, just everything Black, Black American, Black art, Black Renaissance, evolution. And we wanted to dive in the birth charts of Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler, because not only are they both dynamic individuals, but them together is like, I think, something that's really going to be impactful for this new age when it comes to, you know, this artist renaissance that's coming about, and also like just this new Pluto and Aquarius vibe, you know what I'm saying? Like, really pushing Black cinema forward. That's not really, it hasn't really been a thing, you know. I was actually watching a lot of interviews with Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler. The one that I watched, it was an Essence interview, and Ryan Coogler was talking about how, like, you know, cinema has only been around as far as this particular art form for around 100 years. So it's the, you know, a very new art form, and, you know, the Black stories haven't really been told much at all, but in like the best light. Usually it's all about slavery, struggling, you know, all that stuff, or just Black trauma, you know what I'm saying, or like going
trauma? Well, I don't know if I can say that on YouTube.
You said what?
I was gonna say trauma, P word, rhymes with corn. Yeah,
exactly. And just being, you know, manipulated in the media even. And I think, you know, Ryan Coogler coming about is like, he's like a new age pioneer when it comes to this cinema game. Because
I don't many like Black horror films or like thrillers. Maybe I can pull up a list, because I don't feel like I know many off the top of my head.
Well, we have what's his name, the one who created Get Out.
Oh, right,
but really him, Jordan Peele,
yeah.
Jordan Peele, and, you know, he was like, you know, I'm pretty sure he was the inspiration. I mean, it's because not really many to choose from when it comes to Black creators and horror films especially. But I would say, especially like new age, he's like the pioneer when it comes to horror, and he tells it in a very interesting way. It's not your traditional like Freddy Krueger, you know, like it's deeper.
It's more so like psychological.
It's psychological, and it does have to deal with the Black experience, because it is a lot of psychological warfare has been placed upon, you know, our ancestors.
And I would even say Atlanta, the show.
Atlanta for sure.
Because what's that other show that he made? I mean, obviously Atlanta, but there's that show with Dominique Fishback.
Okay, so that was another Donald Glover. It was called, I think,
was definitely a horror. And I remember there was so much backlash around that, because it was like, Black women are painted in a certain light and they shouldn't be painted in this light. But I thought it was Swarm.
Swarm.
I thought it was great.
That type of psychological thriller is like, was like, I was captivated, mainly because what I do like about, and we'll get into the astrology aspect of it, but we're going to talk cinema right now, because I like to shoot cinema, and I have dreams of becoming an actress. I've witnessed this young lady being an actress on set.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Look, you don't know, I didn't know that.
No, I was there too.
Yeah. No, No, but she's phenomenal, y'all. Like, you know, we have bigger backgrounds than just doing astrology. We're very artistic people, and we hope that in the future, you know, especially since we love astrology and learning about people, we can come and talk about, like, well, everything that we love when it comes to, like, art forms and things like that, and combining that with astrology to better understand it. Recently, Lee made a video talking about Beyonce. You know, it was all the rave, Beyonce's birth time, and she did a video about that. And then I saw another astrologer on TikTok. She mentioned Ryan Coogler, because Michael B. Jordan's birth time is not necessarily like concrete. Like, we don't know it for sure, but Ryan Coogler, his birth time has been confirmed. So we decided to go ahead and just see, you know, have a fun video. Mr. Ryan Coogler, he is a Gemini sign. What's his moon?
Sagittarius moon.
And then Scorpio rising.
Full moon, baby.
Oh,
same.
That's cool. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. When your sun and your moon are opposite, you're born on a full moon. And when they're the same, you're born on a new moon. Full moon babies, there's always a push and a pull internally to kind of try to shine your light in a certain way. Yeah. But you really have to learn how to balance the energy.
Yeah. For sure. So one of the things that I found interesting about Ryan Coogler is outside of, you know, him as a creative, but just him as a person, and just like watching his interviews, is the way he speaks. Like, that's something that was really highlighted, like, just amongst, like, you know, like TikTok, whatever, it's like social media, is like, he doesn't code switch. And then also he has a stutter, and like, it seems like now, like, because he's in the, you know, spotlight a lot more, you know, he's what I'm code switching for. And I think seeing that as, like, you know, a black person, and like in those spaces is like really important. And you know, I bring that up is because his Chiron is in Gemini in the 8th house. And so with Chiron in Gemini, that definitely deals around, like, well, Chiron is like the wounded healer, so it's like, and it's in the 8th house. He definitely has probably had issues when it comes to people understanding his communication style and how he speaks. And I think him owning that, and him like overcoming that wounded healer, is being comfortable in these spaces with truly being himself. Like, you don't have to put on, and I think that's another thing, like, especially with this day and age, you know, like boomers and people like that, they were all about like, oh, you have to look a certain way, you have to do this in order to make it, or to be he's a black man in Hollywood, not code switching. And it seems like he's very grounded in himself and who he is. But
it is really interesting that his 8th house is in Gemini, because your 8th house is usually kind of what's hidden about you, or like the darker parts of your psyche or your personality. So you're able to tap into the darker parts of the world around you, especially too. So like you were saying with this Chiron there being like the wounded healer, kind of, and then his Mercury is conjunct that. So usually with your Chiron placement, that's kind of where you're meant to kind of heal the collective. So with your Mercury there, he's telling stories and speaking, and that is healing the collective. And I feel like that is a big reason why. Also, he has Jupiter transit, because Jupiter right now is in Gemini, and it's transiting this, all these placements for him, so it's hitting that. So it's really like highlighting the fact that he needs to kind of expand that area more, and like put himself out there more. And you see like the feedback that he got from the movie was crazy. And it's interesting too, because the movie had to deal with like occult subjects, and it's like 8th house themes and things like that. So.
And he also mentioned in an interview with Michael how, you know, it's both of their first time, you know, shooting a horror film thriller, and he loves it, you know, like he really loves horror. And Scorpio like rising. You know what I'm saying, it's like him actually tapping. And it's funny, like he really got big notoriety, a Creed, Fruitvale Station, Black Panthers really what like kind of like pushed him, I feel like, into like a superstar status when it comes to like directors. I feel like it pushed him in that direction. And, you know, he received help with that, of course. You know, somebody had to believe in him in order, you know, for him to gain that status. But now he's got his foot in the door. He's got that footing, and he's, you know, alchemizing that opportunity, and he's now talking about the stories that he wants to talk about.
Right.
I think Black Panther definitely kind of like, he co-wrote Black Panther, and that kind of gave him like the probably a little bit more comfortable, like, really, I mean, he's always really talked about Black stories, but not your traditional Black stories, like just adding magic to it. Just it's something different. Like, you don't, like a vampire movie from the 1930s in the Deep South, like love it. Like that's very interesting. And then you mentioned Jupiter transiting his 8th house right now, and I also mentioned a Lee earlier, like Mars is transiting Mars Leo is currently transiting his 10th house. It just seems like a big push into like extreme superstardom, like, you know, like Steven Spielberg, Michael Bay, like, you know, like those household name directors, especially being a director, and like being a household name director is like a really big thing, and for it to actually be like a Black man now is like really cool. And I feel like you know, Mars in Leo transiting his 10th house is really giving like pushing his career along, for sure. That's just, you know, my take on it.
Also, speaking of transits, the North Node is transiting his 5th house, which is, that's where his Jupiter is. And his Jupiter is in Pisces, so Pisces and Neptune are like filmmaking planet and sign, whatever. But especially Neptune really rules like over filmmaking. So it's interesting that the North Node is now transiting his 5th house, and like the North Node has to do with like your destiny and things that are just aligned, that are meant to happen. They were in your destiny to happen. And it's going over his 5th house of creativity, and his Jupiter is like really well placed. So it just makes sense that he's doing filmmaking, and that's what's kind of propelling him forward. And his Neptune in his chart is in his 3rd house, and it's in Capricorn. And that's where his Mars is as well. So it's like, it makes sense that he did Creed and like Fruitvale Station, because it's like the Mars Saturn themes of like hardship, kind of like struggle. And I feel like his films in general, even though Sinners was a little bit fantasy like, he still had that groundedness there. And he still like kind of packed a punch with his message. And he had a lot of like, he's shooting in the damn thing, like he's still it was still boyish, like, you know,
it was
still,
very
guns, explosions,
but also like also because we you know, there's some certain scenes in there, he loves women. He loves women, and I think especially with his son being in the 8th house, taboo, sex, you know, sensual. I think no, because somebody asked him a question in the interview. It's like, yo, so what's up with the spit scene? And Michael was there, and he looked over to him like, you know, he was like, what you say, right? And then he just laughed like he said nothing. That's all we need to know. Period. Like, that's all we need to know. He communicates, especially like those taboo subjects, because the way he depicted a lot of things in this film is like, I ain't never seen before in cinema. Oh, girl, just on top of him, baby, you drooling, and she just, I ain't never seen that
in a movie.
I ain't never seen that in a movie. Me personally, I ain't never seen that. That's not no regular sexual occurrence in a film. He tapped in. This
caliber for sure.
Yeah, but he definitely tapped in, and like it's like he knows how to write, bro. Like I would love to see the director, like writer director side of him, like more like the writer Ryan Coogler. I would love to see that more I want to see the stories that he wants to tell, because like he's really interested in his family history, and like, you know, like him inviting hoodoo into this film and things like that, like ancestor veneration, like he talks about like the research that he's done. And I do think like it's important to tell these stories, and not just in a slaves and shackles type of vibe. Like, we are more than that situation, right? You know, we have other stories that can be told, and told in beautiful ways, you know, in interesting ways. This is a very, I think it's different. I think it plays into the Pluto and Aquarius vibes for sure. I think it's unconventional, and I think it is gonna like bring a new wave of filmmakers. Yeah, and he also mentioned like how he wants to change the world. Like, he wants to be of service to people. He wants to teach. He has like a nurturing side to him. And
Venus in Cancer.
Yeah, Venus in Cancer. And like, he really cares about like his director style. He's very personable. Like, he doesn't yell a direction to a person. If he has a direction for someone, he pulls them to the side to speak to them. He has two yods.
I don't know
how to say it. YODs. Y'all can look that up yourselves. But
I say stellium.
Yeah.
And people say stellium. So
yeah, but it's the YOD, the yods. But he has two of them. And usually people with that placement, I have that placement. Do you have yeah,
I think I have two as well.
Yeah, I have one. And basically it's people who have that placement, and it's kind of rare, but it's like you feel like you have a bigger purpose. And you know, here it can sometimes feel like a burden. It feels like an invisible burden, a lot of pressure on you. So having that determination and drive, and speaking of determination and drive, his Mars is in Capricorn, and he did mention how he became a great filmmaker and a great creative based off of, you know, his experience with football, because football developed discipline with him, and that made him believe he could do anything. So developing that core foundation through football has helped him become just like a better creative and filmmaker, because of his work ethic. It helped develop his work ethics. Up next, we do have Michael B. Jordan. Okay, so Michael B. Jordan, Michael Bakari.
What the hell? What's his name?
Bakari.
Okay.
Yes. Michael Bakari Jordan. Okay. So he's an Aquarius, born February 9th, 1987. I can't see. His rising is what? A Virgo. And then his moon is Cancer? Okay. So, love that. Love that.
I feel like intuitively what I get from his chart, because sometimes when I see a chart, I just get hit with an energy for some reason. And first, he just gives me very much emo vibes for some reason. Like, I get a vibe that like he's secretly very like emotional, but in a sense that it's like no one understands me. And like not like no one understands me, like maybe he used to be that way, but it's just
like his chart actually gives that, like, and he's a lover of anime, like he's a diehard
nerd.
He's a nerd.
He gives nerd. I didn't know he liked anime.
He that vibe. Like he loves it.
I'm getting the vibe that I would see him at like some type of convention. He's just a secret undercover nerd. Like, that is I've as soon as I don't know, I just got that vibe. Yeah,
he's also very nurturing, but his moon is in Cancer, and he also is a Virgo rising. So the nurturing and caring part is definitely something that exudes off of him.
Yeah, because it's in the 6th house too. It's a very 6th house is very wants to be of service.
Yeah, and he actually mentioned that like he wants to be of service. Like somebody interviewer asked him like, what is your goal, like what's your ultimate goal in life? He was like, I want to be of service. I want to help my community.
In the 6th house,
he's literally
an Aquarius at that. Want to help my community,
and he has his own production company.
I don't know that.
I got the name of it. If I do remember to plug it in, I will plug it in. But he I actually came across this TikTok of this girl that I actually follow. She said when she was 24 years old, he had an internship opportunity, but But he was looking for creatives 18 to 24 for his firm, like for an internship. And it was like a group of kids, like 18 to 24. And this girl, she said she applied right before her 25th birthday, and she ended up getting an internship. And basically, like, he was like hands on with them. I think it was like 8 of them, and like she learned PR. They had like different types of internships or whatever.
This
but
company?
For Michael B. Jordan's company.
Oh.
Yeah. So he has like a internship program for his production company. And like his family is involved in it. And so like the people who intern, they got to meet his family and learn with them and things like that. Like everyone's really involved.
I had no idea that he had a production company.
Yeah, it's like an agency or a production, but yeah,
his moon in Cancer is sticking out with that.
Yeah,
like, the younger kids, and it's in the 11th house of community.
He's really community oriented.
Wow, that makes so much sense.
And I also think that makes him a really good person to work on set with.
Yeah. No diva behavior.
Yeah,
divo behavior.
So he, and his castmates describe him as a very hard worker. And he really likes to learn and he likes to help people. I think he directed Creed, and also in Sinners he had to help direct his double because like Ryan was a director, but Michael had to direct his movements. Yeah. Because he had to plan the movements he was going to do because of how they shot it. So he had to be that person in this film. I think that's very interesting. Some things that stand out for him, his Chiron is in the 10th house. And it's in Gemini, right? Yeah. So, this could have, with his Chiron in 10th house, it could have issues when it comes to the spotlight, for sure, especially with using his voice. He also mentioned that, I'm always going to refer to, I did my research, but, he mentioned in an interview where, like, he feels really good working with Ryan because he feels like his voice is heard as an actor when he, maybe he gives a critique, or like maybe when it comes to blocking or something like that, he's heard. But he said before, like, that was an issue for him. And I feel like also with Chiron in his 10th house, like, Michael B. Jordan started acting when he was he was a child. Yeah. And like but his career to me has been sporadic. You know how like you have like a Dakota Fanning or you have like a Drew Barrymore or something growing up. They always in something. Right. Like
Journey Smollett.
Journey was always in, so she was the black child star for sure. And so those, like, when it comes to like his child career compared to theirs, very sporadic, and especially when he went the soap opera route with All My Children, a lot of times people don't come out of soap opera route. They're kind of just stuck on there for 30 seasons. Like, he would still be whoever the heck he was grown up right now. So the fact that he pivoted out of that is very interesting, but there was very large gaps between his roles until he became an adult. He's been acting for 20 plus years, and he doesn't have as many roles as your typical child actor. I think he really, especially with his acting, I just really feel like he kind of had to become a student,
for sure,
with that, and learn how to use his voice. And like, the thing about Geminis is that, just speaking from being a Gemini sun, it's like we learn how to adapt to our situations. It's like, they call you two-faced, but I think it's more of like a chameleon aspect. And I think with Chiron being a Gemini in his 10th house, it's like really becoming the character for real, like with his roles. And I feel like, of course, as he got older, he's definitely got better with his acting roles. I feel like Creed, of course, was, definitely his thing. Black Panther, he was good, but I feel like this film, because he was pushed, he is a hard worker. He has that Virgo rising, that perfectionism bug in there. And especially developing like a close relationship with Ryan and stuff like that and wanting to show up, I feel like he was pushed to become and evolve into, you know, this action-packed, amazing, beautiful actor.
Right.
Yeah.
And he also has his Mercury in Pisces. So what you were saying about like evolving and adapting, like Mercury is detriment in Pisces, I believe. So it doesn't like being in Pisces because it's so expansive and it can embody so many different things, and it kind of gets like lost in that a little bit because it's so watery. So that makes so much sense. But again, we were saying like the Pisces and Neptune stuff is like filmmaker or actor kind of things. Yeah. So it's like his 10th house ruler is Mercury in Pisces. So it's like, yeah, it just makes sense that he's an actor. I don't know. And what you were saying about how it took him so long when he was a child actor, he has that Venus in Capricorn, and it's conjunct his Neptune as well, so it makes sense. Filmmaking, and it's in the 5th house, another filmmaking kind of creative house. So it's like Capricorn does not give up. One thing about Capricorn placement, they're not going to give up. They're going to keep going. My Venus is in Capricorn. I believe it's at that degree. Yeah. So.
Oh, your Venus in Capricorn, mine is opposite yours. Cancer. I think, aren't theirs the same too?
So,
because his is in Cancer. Isn't Ryan's in Cancer?
Is his Venus in Cancer?
Yeah, I think his Venus is in Cancer.
I think so too. Yup, I think so too. And then his Mars is in Capricorn on Michael B. Jordan's thing. Interesting.
Dynamic duo. Hey, we see similarities.
Hey. But yeah, that just makes so much sense because like any 5th house Saturn influence too, you're gonna have a hard time kind of like expressing yourself. My Saturn is in the 5th house, so you're gonna like kind of you have to push yourself to really put yourself out there and to really embody certain things, and it can be kind of like this. It can kind of feel like a rebirth almost, or like you have to go through a constant cycle of just embracing the hardships and embracing that sometimes you won't be rewarded, and that's fine, and you still have to keep going just for the love of the game. And Michael B. Jordan definitely gives me that vibe, especially like with Creed and his character in Creed even, and any of his characters, Killmonger, the Creed character.
Oh man,
especially those two, like they definitely had to keep going, like they were going, like they had to keep going and keep pushing. Even after death, Killmonger was still like
sure. He showed up in second movie. Like what? I'm your ass so now listen.
Right, okay. So that push and that drive, both Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan kind of have that in their chart. So they were never gonna give up until they reached the top. Yeah, and good for them. I'm glad that they didn't.
Yeah. For the men, for the people. I'm glad y'all kept going. So, I think it's like really cool. And then also they mentioned the whole like Ryan compared them to Outcast because they're Michael is Aquarius and Ryan is a Gemini, and I think my best friend is actually Aquarius. I'm a Gemini, and I think when we actually do end up working together, it's really like a match made in heaven. I do believe those two signs coming together is definitely a match made in heaven. That's why we have equipment on display. We actually had this record on display. It's just been hidden, but I just think that's very interesting. Ryan talked to Outkast about shooting the documentary for them. Yeah. Like, I think that'll be dope. Just putting that out there.
Like a vampire. No, it's lame.
It could be whimsical, right. With the flute. Okay.
As far as their synastry, it's interesting that Ryan Coogler's, who's Mars?
Mars in what? Capricorn?
No, this is Michael B. Jordan. Okay. Michael B. Jordan's Mars is conjunct Ryan's North Node. So I don't know, that dynamic just gives like pushing each other like to higher heights and pushing each other like, hey, it's time to do it. Because I think you mentioned in one of the interviews about how Michael B. Jordan was kind of scared to do horror.
Yeah,
he's never done it before.
Yeah, he doesn't like blood or anything like that. He said he don't like being scared. Yeah. So,
and he has his 8th house is in Aries, and he has his Mars, and he has his North Node there as well. So it's like he's meant to kind of embrace kind of a more like dark, taboo, just kind of go to the depths of things. And Aries is also kind of like, I don't know how Aries just be doing shit.
Yeah,
I don't think they're scared of necessarily doing it, but they're like, whatever, I'll do it.
Yeah.
So with that energy, he's probably like, whatever, I'll do it. And then it was nice to have probably Ryan there to push him and guide him with that North Node influence to like, hey, we can do this, we got this. I have a Venus Moon conjunction, we got that. Your moon is on my Venus.
Oh, cool. Yay.
Feeling comfortable.
Yeah.
Feeling comfortable around each other. Just feeling like, because the way Venus like shows up and like gives and takes in a relationship is how the moon naturally kind of like shows up and expresses themselves emotionally. So it's just a harmonious relationship.
Yeah, harmonious.
Okay.
I need that.
Yeah.
Ryan's Jupiter is in Michael's 7th house. So like partnerships. Like them
Jupiter too in Pisces.
Yeah. And like with them coming together, it's definitely helped both of their careers expand. I think definitely Michael for sure. I think this is definitely, I mean, help Ryan too, but having that type of relationship in Hollywood, especially filmmakers, you know, you have your directors that always go to their go-to actor,
right? You
know, that's kind of like a thing, and it's like their help, like he, you know, helped this dude like really push his career forward, and it really is about collaboration and finding that connection, you know, finding that connection, that dynamic, beautiful connection to help you both grow. You know what I'm saying? Like, and especially I think this pushes it, especially talking about, you know, like the occult and like dark practices and stuff like that, and like unconventional things, taboo. It's helping him evolve, I feel like, as a person, because I feel like he may be learning about, you know, ancestral veneration and, you know, his lineage and things like that, and just, you know, even having more appreciation for being a Black person in Hollywood, and you know, just the value behind that, because like he spoke about you know, one me started like, you know, diving into like hoodoo and like learning about it, and you know, Michael gave some insight through her discovering things about hoodoo. So I feel like everyone definitely you know not only had a great opportunity working on this film and just, you know, developing, you know, expanding their community, but also learning a lot more about themselves. For sure.
And the Mars right now is in Leo, and that's going through Michael B. Jordan's 12th house of like your subconscious and your hidden things that are like you don't really want to touch. And with his being ruled by the sun, like I was saying, that awkward nerd energy, he might even feel a little weird, like with all this attention. It might even kind of feel like I didn't do it for the attention, like I was just having fun with my friends. But I can see that happening, or I can see like you're getting out of your comfort zone and doing something that you don't normally typically do, which is horror films. And who knows, maybe he felt insecure about that. I don't know, because he's like, I don't know, am I doing it right? Because usually when you don't like something and you're doing it, it can be very rewarding. It can be very, as you can see, it's hella rewarding. So one last thing I do want to touch on, I don't even know if this has to do with, you can help me out if it does, you know, have to do with astrology, but you know, when they started promoting this film, Haley, rightfully so, great actress. I actually really love her. Like, I liked her in Hawkeye. That's where I got familiar with her, and I've seen her in other stuff. But, you know, like, they were promoted as, you know, the forefront of the film. You know what I'm saying? Initially, but because Haley has a white, you know, she has a white audience. You know, she has a, you know, bigger name compared to One Me, but
And, you know, of course, they did their job when it comes to promoting. But after the film came out, what I noticed, just going on Michael B. Jordan's social media, like, he posted a series of photos with just one me, and like highlighting her, and like more interviews started coming out, him speaking highly of her, how beautiful she is, how great of a woman she is, how much he cares about her, and things like that. And you know, of course, everybody wants to fantasize and, you know, do their fan fiction about things, but I think it's because he really does appreciate her as an actress and a woman and a creator. And, you know, like he wants to help give space to, like, you know, her and her confidence and her expanding and growing as an individual. I just think this film, and, you know, he's a nurturer, like with his moon in Cancer, like, he has that feminine aspect, like that divine feminine aspect that, you know, people don't really talk about when it comes to men, but we all have divine feminine, divine masculine.
And I'm telling you, us Venus and Capricorns, we be... I don't even... It'd be real bad. Hopeless romantic vibe.
Yeah. I'm Venus and Cancer. It's so funny how they got... Ain't that funny?
Yeah, it is.
That's very funny. Y'all, we got some of the same placements, y'all.
Like, y'all don't even know, like, we up next. Like, I don't know.
Like, we up next, though. For real. For real. Like, y'all gonna see so much coming from us. But anyway, I love seeing people evolve. I love seeing these type of relationships, genuine relationships develop and grow. It's beautiful to see, especially amongst our community. And I really have fun getting to know them on this side. I mean, hey, we don't, of course, we ain't with the parasocial relationships, but you know, it just helps us, you know, understand a little bit the mind of these people. And, you know, I have an, you know, aspiration to become a filmmaker and actress, and, you know, just, you know, looking at this is really cool. Right. So, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Well, that's it.
We're done.
I don't know. I think we should do this once a month.
Yeah, I like going into people's charts.
Yeah, I think it's cool, and not like on some weird like this person sucks.
Yeah, you never know unless you really talk. But celebrities are so interesting because they're out in the center. So you can really see how these aspects play out in motion. Like, even with Michael B. Jordan, like how he was getting clowned for like a while with his dating life.
Oh yeah, but I was thinking about that today, and I really want to touch on it, but I was thinking about that today, and I was like, he cared. He needs a certain type of partner. Yeah. Like, he's not, I don't think it's a conventional baddie, like, type of. No,
I don't think so either. Yeah, his 7th house is in Pisces.
Yeah. I don't think it's conventional baddie. I don't think it's that.
He need a nerd.
He need a nerd. I mean, she could be a baddie, but like not a convention, like not just some basic.
Yeah.
I only care about, like, you need a nerd.
He seems like he's a great lover.
Yeah,
he really does. If he doesn't seem like a manipulative person to me, because this definitely gives a vibe, and like men with water signs. But he doesn't give me that vibe. I could be wrong, but intuitively, I just feel that he's like a really good lover.
Strong. He seems like a strong person, but he also needs someone. He has a lot of emotional qualities. Yeah, that needs to be, you know, nurtured. He needs to be nurtured. Someone to really nurture that. And
well, hit me up.
Yeah. I'm confused. I thought. Okay, well, something new. I was like, wait, I thought you were like WLW.
I can make an exception for you. I'm unconventional.
I'm engaged.
Well, shit, I'm single. So. I'm just playing.
Oh my God. Help. Okay. Well, she shot her shot. Let's see where it lands. Other than that, my name is Ronnie.
And I'm Lee.
And thank you so much for watching Jupiter Juice. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.